Hbar, let's go back to this. So, because let's talk about hypotheticals, right? So, what you do know about the station, and again, it's something that you're going to anyway have to get to know for your assignment. Anyway, you're going to have to know something more, not something, but quite a bit about the station to be able to gravitate through the assignment properly. But let's talk our way through you know what I'm saying, these particular things, right? These particular points. And again, we're going to, so our broad assumption of this particular BMH listener is again a student, let's say a student at BMH Radio. I'll tell you why it's only a student at BMH Radio, because we don't advocate to market the station in any way, and that's for those reasons. I don't know why that isn't a thing. So yes, we do have social media where obviously there are some posts that do go out and they are about certain things. I mean, I think I've been on there honestly maybe 3 or 4 times, come across certain things that certain DJs have posted up there. But in terms of like, so the station can do with a lot of marketing, right? But but I want to focus, let's say, on just one decision. So for example, like knowing the audience in terms of marketing, excuse me, right? Marketing can be done in terms of what a lot of the stations are doing, which is online surveys, right? So, for example, we can just put it out there, even on WhatsApp groups, to be like, look, listen, yeah, we can get, I don't know, even if it's like a $500 coupon at the cafeteria. I don't even, they do sell food there, right? So let's say you can get yourself $500 that you can spend there, like a voucher, like what I'm saying, at the cafeteria, if you partake in this particular survey for us. Just fill it. Here it is. It's a Google form, whatever it is, and just fill it out. And then we'll obviously have your details. We'll announce the winner, right? So that's a good marketing. That's an easy marketing decision that we can actually make, right? The other one is develop a uniqueness. We have the opportunity to really take. We've got creative students on campus. That's what we are about. It's a Boston Media House, right? So we can go out there and really like obviously capitalize on the fact that we are creatives in many different ways. We can run our own short film festivals and not wait for the. Let me just, sorry, I see there's someone coming in. Just give me a second. My PC is gonna start quote unquote slowing down because of, yeah. Anyway, all right. As I was saying, so for example, developing uniqueness, we are like, I always use Soul Candy as way, because I don't know of any other, like, we have an official Soul Candy like section that is on campus, that develops music, that it's a very, very specific thing. Soul Candy is such a massive brand. It's a legacy brand. And I never, ever, like, I've been working there for 13 years. Like, I've never heard anything produced from our students, like, through Soul Candy, which I know there's many things that they do, right? But I have never heard it like chart somewhere, even be attempted to be submitted to stations. There could be. We don't even have a Soul. We could have Soul Candy events, because we can piggyback on that. As being a brand that people do trust. They've been everywhere, whatever it may be. But my thing is that BMH has that type of uniqueness. We have access to things like Soul Candy. We have access to, like I say, media practitioners. I'm saying we're all media practitioners. You could utilize us in some or other way. We have many skills that we can partner up with the station, right? That no other stations can has access have access to, because we're in these different I'm saying industries, TV, radio, PR, whatever it may be, right? The passion, like marketing strategy wise, we need to, for me, like, if there's an event, so let's focus on this social Thursdays. Where are all the DJs? all of them need to be there, actually. So the team the team needs to be there, station managers to be there, whatever it may be, right? Like just in terms of passion alone, like why are we not having more any podcast at all that are uniquely BMH driven? Seeing as it's a digital platform, we need to optimize and capitalize the digital space. But for now, I'm not seeing passion. I'm not seeing passion. Doing a show is not passion. I'm saying being part of a brand and living a brand, that's passion in any kind of way. So any role that you perform at BMH Radio, consistency, right? If we can depend on consistency. So, for example, let's say we have one person or two people that rotate the breakfast show, two people that rotate brunch, two people that rotate lunch, and two people that rotate drive, right? Okay. And then we have our weekend lineup, but a very short weekend lineup, let's say I would say from 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning till about 2 o'clock, right? Anyway, the thing is, we could actually go and tell people these are the teams, these are the shows, and they can expect them every single time, every single week at this time, so we can have some kind of consistency. But we don't, because it's not a voluntary station. Yes, it is that, but we are a developmental station. So in other words, if you're available to do a show, I'm saying, and you've got the training, whatever it is, we have to ideally, first and foremost, we must give the students a chance, right, to see whether they have competency at all. But then two, like we're still trying to build a quote unquote brand at any one given point. We can't advertise on the station because we don't have consistency and we don't have a brand that we can actually say this is what BMH is. So faster competitiveness, I gave the example. Let's just challenge UJ or Val like to like a DJ standoff. That's it, you know. Have something cool, do it, host it in a nightclub or on the campuses itself, like or either or on rotating weeks. That's easily what we can do there. The multitude of communication integration points, like how many ways can we access BMH radio? Sure, does everyone know the WhatsApp line? No, they don't, right? Even something as small as the WhatsApp line can be it's a platform for communication. Like let's say the stuff we do post on social media, is it active, right? So is it pre-active and proactive and then I say post-active. So in other words, like are we doing stuff before, during, and afterwards that then obviously cultivates the product a little bit more, and then prioritize quality leadership. So KB's been running the station for since the beginning. KB is capable, but he's the only one. Like he's the only one, and it's yes. So the station's leadership is completely limited. We can't even market. I'm saying we can't even do anything marketing wise based on leadership because I can't assign something to a marketing manager or a programming manager or a production manager, anything. We have to, if anything needs to happen, we have to see who's available, which is quite scarce. I'm saying the culture that we have here in BMH, I'm saying on BMH radio. Again, if students just don't feel like it, you see, they're not compelled to do it, so they won't do it, right? When submission weeks are up or whatever it may be, other stations still have students on when it's their submission weeks. How do they get that right? Because there's rotation and there's balance and whatever it may be, right? We need a supportive team to be able to be able to allow, let's say, KB to do more and the station to do more, and then we can market a little bit more, anything and everything else, just based on the decision here. So, oops, right. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for that. I hope you do understand. Does that make sense? On that one, say a yes, a hands up, thumbs up. I'm going to say okay. All right, good. All right, let's look at the second. We're going to look at the second lesson here. So again, continuing with marketing strategies is a much longer lesson, as you can see. Um, Some of the stuff will be a little bit repeated. There'll be a minute cycle repeat. This is really not that everything is important. Please, if you ever catch me saying that again, just quickly just stop me and say, yes, everything is important, right? So, but this is important to your formative, because the top 10, well, the 10 marketing strategies or 10 points, right? Tips for marketing strategies which are applied, which you're going to apply to a practical probably next week, right? I'm going to get to that. Are what you're going to obviously use within the formative. Again, once again, a call out. I'm not going to go into another call out exercise, right? So what I'm going to do in the beginning of every lesson is that I'm going to start with, so in the previous one, Jules was here for that. We spoke about the IEC and its interaction with anyone between the ages of 18 and 39, trying to get them to vote. And the second one was about political propaganda and China's standing against ChatGPT. Once again, I'm just going to quickly say what I said in the first lesson, which is, well, you need to learn how to develop call out phoners or phoner conversations. It's also asked of you in the formative one. So it's something that also you learned in your second year, and you are going to very, 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 very soon, again, be on air sooner than you think. In almost, like I say, 3 to 4 months, you'll be doing live shows, right? What you need to look at in these types of exercises, and what we'll again start every lesson with, is for you to take a couple of minutes to, at least just for this moment, for this week, let's say, be able to spin off. So not take this particular exact statement here, but spin off ideas that you could possibly do content call outs for. So in other words, ask people for voice notes, ask them to give you a call so you can put them on air, whatever it may be, right? For example, this is a big topic, autism, understanding the habits, and again, how you can make this relatable and relevant to a student audience, right? Is air pollution causing you or us to lose our sense of smell? The weird reasons there still isn't a male contraceptive pill, right? Why we can't dream in more than one language, how pesticides impair our sense. So these are nice generic. So I say generic, they're good umbrellas because you can spin. They're not topical. In other words, they don't have a timestamp on them. So we can talk about any one of these and any kind of spin-offs that we do have at any season, I'm saying to you, in the year, right? So once again, being able to spin off something cool and interesting, not like here again, the about male contraceptive pills or whatever it is, but rather like let's look at the apocalyptic I'm saying the apocalyptic age, where there is, people are not using condoms, for example. They're not performing safe sex acts at all, because already you can obviously, like, there's prep, there's whatever it is. People are worried about HIV, when they should actually also be worried about pregnancy at the end of the day, right? Okay, so a lot of people are not using condoms at all, and we are sitting in a space and a time where both women and men are just completely irresponsible because we don't read the terms and conditions. And I'm not saying about the pills or the contraceptives or whatever it is. We don't care to read the further the effects it has on your life, right? We just are in the moment, whatever it may be. We can actually talk about, and people that actually have some kind of common sense in comparison to their peers, right? And what scares them the most about how their peers, for example, are behaving right now in terms of their sexual activity. That's a cool conversation, right? Okay. Anyway, please get used to being able to look at any old, I'm saying, a statement, or we can do a starter here, and then being able to spin off some cool direct, some cool, intuitive, and also, I say, innovative, creative content. Okay. So let's talk about let's continue about, let's talk about marketing strategies, right? Multiple groups of stakeholders. Yes, as we know, we have discussed some in the previous lesson as well. But is the breakdown. The audience, obviously, right? Because they are the ones that consume our product holistically. So in every way, both on air and off air, the clients then who pay for the advertising on the radio station and its other platforms, so digitally, right? Okay. So even a non-commercial station has clients. Of course it does, right? So our community stations, our online stations, any station, PBS station has clients who assist them in revenue stream. And we have spoken about different ways that community stations do develop revenue stream, um, and different ways that we can involve third-party revenues, right? So marketing strategies must consider the individual needs as the stakeholders obviously develop some kind of relationship with us, right? A strong relationship. Ideally, we want them to constantly wanna, be involved with us from an audience to a client. We want them to come back and constantly advertise with us. And the audience wants to come back for more entertaining radio, right? Great radio. So this is the discipline of integrated marketing communication. So IMCs, um, or should I say IMC? How do we reach different target markets, right? Using consistent communication strategies. When I say different target markets, we want to be able to look at our obviously our core market, and see what they are split up into. That's a certain approach. We have men, we have women, we have a slightly younger or an older audience, slightly poorer, so lower income, higher income, middle class, whatever it may be. We have fit people, we have unfit people, we have people that are proactive in mental health. We have, there's many different ways that we can go and dissect our core market into varied markets, and then we can go and target them specifically with market strategies, marketing executions, marketing, like I say, what's the word I'm looking for now? And I'm going to find it now. I'll tell you now. Anyway, activations. There we go. Right. Anyway, all right. And integrated marketing communication. So IMC plan aims to deliver consistent messages to different fields of communication. For example, we could obviously advertise and do PR that informs, reminds, persuades, and entertains both existing and then potential audiences. Potential audiences are exposed through, once again, outside broadcasts, right? Below the line marketing and social media, right? Once a station has established its target market, the marketing strategy needs to be developed with two primary goals, obviously attracting new listeners, and how do we retain our current listeners, right? So eyes on the prize, right? This is it is more important than this, right? If we lose listeners, how are we going to, even if we're losing listeners with any type of strategy that we're implementing, then how do we think we're going to attract and retain new listeners, right? So this is always priority number one, and that is priority 1.1, right? Okay. So radio target markets, it's a group of listeners, obviously, whom the product is aimed at. We know that from we've started to discuss target markets, and also in terms of the quantitative and qualitative analysis that we've also started to introduce with the questionnaires and whatever it may be, that I will again have uh, lessons coming up on, right? So what is the radio station's product? It is its content at the end of the day. The full product, yes, is the music, is the imaging, are the presenters, are the prizes and the competitions, but all of that is content at the end of the day, can be bridged under content or umbrellaed under content. So people in the target market are most of the time demographics that they will share similar interests, again, behaviors, lifestyles, 10 to 1, right? But then again, as I explained to you, psychographics are also important in defining a target market as well. So we want to know if we want to what are some examples that we can think of? Again, it can be so culturally driven, as we say with the PBS stations. There's no kind of wiggle room around that because our cultural sects are our cultural sects. You won't really find one cultural sect kind of gravitating to a different cultural sect. That's why we have PBS, and that's why we obviously have those services available to service those parts of our nation, right? But again, we can have similar behaviors in psychographics. So if the station is about information, right? So again, like talk radio, that's more a psychographic than a demographic at the end of the day, because it's about how a person or how the listeners want to be informed, feel educated, empowered is very different to how a music station might decide to also approach those particular wants or needs from those particular, like a music targeted audience, right? So a music station targeted audience. So the details are not attributable to each and every person in a target audience, target group consistently, but it does help the marketing manager understand where will they be, how will they react, what are they interested in, what will they buy into. Like if we are partnering up with a car, let's say car brand or whatever it is, will they respond better to Volvo or will they respond better to like Kia or whatever it is, right? What are we looking at under at the end of the day? If we understand the target, we understand also how to speak to them, sell to them, market to them, right? So it obviously informs the marketing manager on the decisions that they're going to make, how to place the station where it needs to be. And because of the power of attraction, yes, people can talk, so it's word of mouth. Again, people can share experiences, so they can go to work or go to their family, or go to their friends and switch on. Let's say friends are coming to their house, for example, and they are an avid listener of YFM and they got YFM playing in the background. Other people maybe not YFM listeners, but for example, Metro listeners or 947 listeners. I don't know, right? Okay, or VOW listeners, more closely, accurately, right, more accurate. But they will hear that and they will be attracted to giving YFM a chance, right? It could be through digital marketing, as we know, because we can target larger audiences. Predominantly, again, it's got to be of a competitive brand, a competitive station, a competitive area that will probably attract them more. Word of mouth, great way to obviously bring in our new listeners or potential listeners, right? Yes, you're going to say to me, but we can run competitions. Yes, true. Yeah, we can obviously get people's attention. We can get them to the station, right? We have to keep them there, not from the competition, but from the rest of what we do as well. So, hence, obviously, the validation for one, obviously, rewarding our listener. That's the biggest thing with competitions. And then marketing of it thereof, just to kind of tie it in here. But at the end of the day, if we are attracting or we're getting the attention of new people and they do listen to the station, they're going to have to be people that like, again, the format, that type of content, that type of, again, um, mission statement at the end of the day. That product has to speak to them. Otherwise, they're just going to, again, stay for the competition and leave right afterwards, right? Once we have a target market, we're able to develop strategies. So positioning concepts, right? So where does the brand position itself in the consumer's life? Okay. So yes, it's part of their lifestyle. We choose to listen to a station as part of our lifestyle, but how much effect and how much influence and how much of a part of the consumer's life does the station play? So do they depend heavily on the station for only entertainment? Do they heavily depend on it for advertising, so getting, I don't know, so whatever it is their needs, like what specials they're getting, whatever it may be, do they heavily depend on it for, like we said there, like what are the bigger things that charted in the Rams? Advice and the type of conversations, so the phoners that are being obviously executed on air. the personalities that are relatable. So the type of kind of community that that particular personality is creating, and then uh, obviously expanding and growing. We belong to a certain community when you belong to a certain show. Anyway, and so for a show to the station to the brand, right? Okay. The position, but obviously, the positioning concept is understanding how we are going to fulfill any promises or any kind of reach that we want to connect to our particular listeners in their experience with our product or our service, right? And then we will develop a strategy as we will, right? Using communication tools. So again, our social mediums, particularly, that's a great communication tool. Any marketing tools that are available to us, right? And these will help us obviously position ourselves a bit better, a bit more, so I say solidly within our listeners' life. At this point, I'm just going to quickly pause there. Are there any questions? Any questions? Anything at all? All good? Okay. Right. Let's talk about segmentation and the importance of segmentation. So, as I said there, we want to divide this target market into specific niches. So, for example, again, ones that go to the theater, or ones that go to Monte Casino, ones that like gambling, ones that again are into charity or attend charity events, ones that like to go to music events or whatever it may be, right? The task of segmentation is to understand what the local context and lived experience of the target market is or are. Okay. So that makes sense with the stuff that I just mentioned now. If we know that like parts of our audience are interested, that they are interested in, let's say, live events, then why not service them according to what they are asking us to give them? So create a local like a live festival, like get the bands or get the artists that they are fanatical about, that we can see are charting on the on our top 40s or our top 20s or whatever it may be. We can see that they are in big support to our, let's say, live content online with these particular artists, whatever it may be. We can see trends. We are also, like, we have to be observers again of our listeners' lifestyles, so we would know exactly how to give them the best concert, right? The live experience, right? That they would be wanting. And maybe that niche, who is obviously the niche, will attend, but so it will also interest other people that, I mean, you don't have to love concerts to go and attend them. You can like them. And as you might, obviously you have a recreational life, right? So a social life. You will, because you like the product, you like the brand, you like the station, you like the presenters. You will also like a day out to go and spend with maybe your family or your partner, or on your own, your friends, or whatever, right? So it's not, again, with these niche interests, we get to expose a lot more about this particular target market, this particular type of listener, and service them better, right? Okay. So segmented target groups are grouped together based on their needs, their habits, behaviors, interests, in order to provide them with the best content, and obviously that's going to service those needs and behaviors, right? So I think that's quite self-explanatory as well. Segmentation is about looking for what people have in common. All right. So, from a psychological point of view, human needs for belonging, for love, relationships, for family, friends, for peers, co-workers, workplaces. I don't know, and obviously how that affects you psychologically. Yes, it's the basis for what we did in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Where basic needs like food, water, our need to sleep, or security, etc., are actually on a lower. They're less important to people as we move up that hierarchy of needs that we did discuss, like I say, in previous lessons, right? We will look on focusing across those needs, but like food and water, sure. I mean, food, we can do vouchers and we can do shopping sprees and whatever it may be, or get obviously people that are like our shopping centers or our shopping stores as clients, whatever it may be, security, safety, again, content wise, we can bring a lot of that in. But really, where we want to land connections is where that listener feels like this station is where I belong, right? They're speaking about the things that are really stressing me out, that are really depressing me, that are making my parents, um, break apart. Like, in what I can see, they're talking about how I'm influenced psychologically by achievement or whatever it may be, right? Or career aspirations. Doesn't matter. These are the things that or if I can hold a conversation that speaks to my audience, that's how I'm obviously going to bag them, right? Listening to radio fulfills all these needs, right? For some of these needs, we can feel a sense of belonging alongside a listening community, right? So when we listen to other people, if we're passive listeners, we can hear other people that phone in, that share their comments, either again on digital or on air, that are speaking truths that we are living and thinking, right? And we can develop conversation around that, even internal conversation around that, right? So as we do that, on the other hand, in today's world, we as consumers are often trying to set ourselves apart from what others are doing and liking. That's fine. Everyone can be and should be an individual, but we need a sense of community because we are like-minded beings in many respects, right? If you don't have a sense of belonging, you are lost as an individual. Yeah, just give me a second. I just need to with someone here. All right. I hope this is all making sense and that you're gaining something cool and interesting. And also view yourself as we are talking about. So always apply this to, does this make sense to me when I listen to a station? Is what you're learning here. How does it apply? It is truthful, obviously. Why would he lie to you, right? But now looking a little bit further again, a little bit deeper, just management in radio, different aspects of it. How does it actually ring truth in your own space, you as a being, right? You as a consumer. So, specialist radio shows provide niche interests, like for example, music shows, or talk shows, like car shows, or sex and relationship shows, money shows, whatever it may be. Right? These are all things that a listener has in their life in one aspect for one yeah, so in one aspect or another aspect, whatever it is, or another, it'll affect them. It can also, if let's say you're doing, for example, a car show, let's say a car speciality show, it might be something that I want to listen to with my dad, who is passionate about radios, sorry, not radios, about cars or automobiles or whatever it may be, or my brother or my friends or whatever it may be, right? It also could be, so it's a great way for me to get better informed and knowledgeable about something that I do like because I share it as an interest, but maybe I'm not as fanatical as. So there are ways that I can do a sex show that speaks to women specifically on a specific day, but because men have sisters and wives and girlfriends and friends and daughters, a man can listen to this particular broadcast on this particular show of this speciality show, right? That is important to him because of the people that are involved in his life, right? So we can do targeted content that is also applicable to it's a supplementary target market at any one particular point. We have a core target market, core market, and then we have a target market. Core market are the people that we want to attract to the station. We need to attract to the station. So specifically females aged 22 to, sorry about that, let me just turn that off. 22 to 28, right? Um, and they are, like I say, so Afropolitan black females, right? But the thing is that we can have a larger target market that reaches uh, black male, female between the ages of, let's say, 18 to 21, as well as also above the ages of 28 to about 35, which is a target market that could also, all our programming and our whatever it is could be appealing to them as well. Anyway, so as we say, once the task of target markets and their definition segmentation is carried out, we can start shaping this marketing strategy, right? Because we know who it is that we're talking to. So now we're going to develop a marketing strategy that is like it's implicit or explicit, should I say? Yeah, explicit, right? To our particular target, our defined and redefined target audience. So there is not a single correct way to please write a marketing strategy. So you can find templates online where there's hybrids that every company that does develop a marketing strategy will develop their own customized marketing strategy that'll include their own segments. I'm saying to their own clauses or whatever it may be. When I say clause, I don't know the right definition, but it's all this, their parts to their marketing strategy some might not include a social strategy or an SEO strategy. Some might actually need to as mandatory approach to the strategy itself. Okay. All right, I think you get the gist. Here we go with the 10 components, right, that you need to apply and for yourself. Again, at the end of this lesson, please, the exercise is to apply SWOT analysis, right, to BMH radio. Yes, roll your eyes. I can understand. I will sympathize with that because it will be BMH radio. All right. First, an executive summary. So we're doing the 10 components of building a generic marketing strategy that can work for the station. An executive summary. So what are the ambitions of the marketing strategy in a snapshot? So this is where you would get a summarized version of what to expect in this whole document, right? So the second one is situation analysis or SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, which you have seen many times before throughout your studies, right? So that's explanatory, self-explanatory. What are the objectives for marketing within the station? So we want to be able to, let's say, correlate with business objectives. So again, I said there's a business strategy that is higher than a marketing strategy. We develop our marketing strategy as an underlying strategy of the larger business strategy, right? But how are we aligning our marketing objectives with the brand objectives, right? Okay, and how is it obviously a good decision to move forward with that, right? I'm saying in this particular strategic way. Target market and segmentation. So we go and define the target market right down to the composite listener, also defining them out down to all the segmentation interests that define this particular consumer listener, right? Okay. The communication objectives. So an objective specific to the tools that we are going to use. So for example, above the line, as I mentioned, TV, radio. So this is obviously our let's say our billboards or H, right? Below the line marketing, emails, activations, events. So I mistook. I would say events. Actually, it's above the line marketing. Anyway, but okay, doesn't matter. Let's just do it. Below the line marketing is supposedly the cheaper options, right? Emails, activations, flyers, and events, and then through the line marketing. So both a hybrid of above and below the line marketing. So that's used for building the brand and for conversions, right? So we want to convert, let's say, someone that has, I don't know, let's say is digitally responded actively on social media, convert them to a P1, like I say, a more primary listener, um, or convert them into a customer as well. That's another version of a conversion, right? Okay, the communication objectives should take the target market and segmentation information, set some goals on how they're going to retain and grow each one of these particular segments within this definition here. right? Include a measurement so that it's clear and success. You understand what that actually looks like. So we want to be able to measure at any one particular point. Are we reaching our objectives here? Are we reaching our measurements that we have set out that, again, define a like goals achieved or a successful marketing strategy? Um, right? And then take seasonality into account. So understanding that when we're in Christmas time or the festive season, we need to know that there's going to be a much lower, like a lower active interaction or attendance or whatever it may be with our listeners, because that's just that time of year, right? Communication strategies. So we might have a mix of marketing tools. It might be TV, and then obviously, like let's say our outside, like our billboards, right? Okay, etc. And our so I say our poll advertising as well could be there. Communication tactics. So tactics are more detailed and specific to the communication strategy. For example, which TV station and in what format. So want to pick, let's say, ETV, or want to pick DSTV, and what particular format. DSTV has many different types of formats available. So does the SABC right now as well. And then obviously ETV has their own little bouquet with NCA, etc. Right. Will you sponsor a big reality TV show? Will you run ads on TV in the advertising brackets? Right. Um, why is this a good strategy, and how much of your budget are you allocating here? Right. Your communication budget. So it tells us the allocated amount for paid media. So paid media is when we go, for example, out to digital or out to print or out to billboards or OOH, right, and pay for that space, right? Okay, and we will explore more of the, I say the from the digital side in future lessons about paid and owned and the other types of medias there. Okay, so this is money used to buy time and space on media outside of the radio station itself. All right, so here we go. The last two here: communication flow charts. So the idea of consumers, that gives an idea of what consumers will see, hear, and experience from the radio station's bag of marketing tools and tactics on a weekly or a monthly basis, right? And then the testing and evaluation. So how do we know that this was effective, or the way that we are using all the other previous nine, I suppose, and then the execution delivery thereof? How are we going to be able to evaluate performance of whether it was or is effective? Maybe we need to re-strategize as well. The me repeating that was not impacting. So it's important for us to set up processes right at the beginning to know what we are measuring at the end of the day, right? And evaluating on, so that we have a free and fair assessment, right? So we can evaluate with, I say, objectivism, right? And we also know what business decisions to make, I say confidently as well, based on how we're going to test and evaluate our approach, right? I'm just going to quickly pause for a second. Any questions? Can I get a thumbs up? All good? Thumbs up. Thank you, Jules. Rotundo. Thumbs up. Are you good? Think you've. Oh, there we go. I was almost going to say you've stepped away to the bathroom or something, right? Okay. All right, here we go. Nearly done. Let's just uh, pay attention for the last couple of slides here. So here's another approach to developing a marketing strategy. We can do a 3-year marketing strategy, right? So once again, in line with what I said to you before about the mission statement. So as we revise the mission statement, so we can also and should revise the marketing strategy, right? So let's with the first part of developing this 3-year marketing strategy, the year-to-date performance review, right? So we want to look at, let's say, um, how was marketing a contributor to attaining our audience and the audience that we do have, right? How has sales, has it reached our targets? What percentage of revenue can marketing say it's contributed to the actual sales of the station? What other contributions has marketing made to business objectives? For example, like our cost management, so revising our cost plan, awards that we might have won, and there can be a variance of awards, radio awards, regional awards, newspaper awards that are very popular still. Growth in the digital sector and innovation, right? So are we adopting innovation based on let's say, the marketing plans that we have had throughout the year, whatever it may be, right? So what we're trying to do here are, let's say, get everything on paper. We're trying to get everything on paper, and then I would develop a lessons learned document. So quite a hefty lessons learned document, which allows us to know what is the next step based on stuff that if we already have learned the lesson, we don't have to learn the lesson more. We can actually just grow forward and grow just in general on that. Review of successes and challenges to establish a clear picture of the job that needs to be done going forward. Right. In part one, we would do two things: SWOT analysis, which you're familiar on, or of, should I say, and then, excuse me, pest analysis, right? So pest analysis is looking at the political aspects of influence to our brand, the economic, the social, the technological, the legal, and the environmental factors that we know have affected the station in one or other type of way, a good or a bad way, doesn't matter, right? That's what SWOT and pestle, sorry, not pestle analysis um, is there for. For example, DAB is a technological factor that will affect the radio station in many different ways. So as we've discussed at length about how DAB affects or will affect or should affect or it might affect in the future here in South Africa, in terms of infrastructure, and again, kind of that impact on people and our listeners and their lifestyle and their like what is it that they have to churn out or get used to? It doesn't matter. There's many ways that DAB will affect our listeners. We would use that pestle analysis to go and umbrella that under pestle analysis as opposed to SWOT analysis, right? So, for example, here, objective planning, content and programming. Look at business objectives. This is obviously in your next level radio textbook. Our objective is one, to acquire and schedule compelling and quality programming spanning a range of genres in official South African languages and exceeding mandate objectives across traditional and digital media platforms. That is broad, man. That's broad. But okay, it's just an example, right? Okay. How are we going to achieve this through marketing? So we want to get this. How? Establish 3 owned local music events to support local music programming, right? So obviously we can, where we want to look at, let's say, official languages, we can get different types of artists from different backgrounds and sects, cultures that are performing at these different music events. We can also go and place them in different areas, right, that are prominent within our listenership, right, our target audience, and they can obviously reflect different cultures within there as well, right? So launch and promote off-air streaming and secure a minimum of 5,000 unique listeners, right? So that's expanding the brand with unique podcasts, for example, or unique streams like live streams that we're doing perhaps on YouTube, or we're doing it on TikTok, on our Instagram, right? So off-air streaming, nothing, so independent from on-air, right? Deliver and establish communication around at least one new podcast monthly, right? Yeah. So this should be part 2. Excuse me. Part 3, the marketing plan is then developed based on these 2 previous parts. We then go to find it according to also that particular. So that was a very good outline, a very good structure that I gave you before. We take a look at all the details. We mark it according to the station calendar, right? So we have so the station calendar will first have seasonal stuff that always needs to happen as a station, but also as part of the community. And then what we will do is we'll divide it up in quarters, and we'll also then go and pinpoint certain events that we know are going to happen seasonally then as well. Sorry, not seasonally, quarterly, right? And then we can also then start with, let's say, big clients, big activations, big whatever it is, branding, whatever it may be, right? So each campaign concept should then have a motivation and an explanation stipulating how it will contribute to overall business success. So validating it there, right? And then this should include backing as to why the listeners and clients would obviously benefit from it. And it should also detail how success will be then measured. So you can see the similarities between the 2 approaches, right? Okay. Again, for me, like the first approach to developing, I'm saying the first initial approach, so not part 1 of this. I'm saying the initial 10-step process is basically what you would apply here then to get the document that you are going to have the station then obviously adhere to. Part 4 is the investment focus areas. So where are we looking at how we can get investments involved, right, or committed to? So we can now start looking at the types of events that we might be marketing, the types of strategies or sub strategies that are involved in our marketing strategy, and we can target like certain markets, certain clients to be able to obviously push this and bring us some revenue, right? Critical choices are needed here to be made to support certain initiatives to their full potential, and by spreading funds too thin. So from the station funding, all right, so the station budget, the marketing budget, to then obviously again looking for sponsors and partners is important here. Uh, we wouldn't want to just quickly decide on funds that are spread too thin, because it could affect the quality and also the outcomes or the goal objectives of that one particular marketing activation, right? And we need to obviously not play it by ear. We need to really understand that each marketing, say, project, right, that we do have planned within our calendar needs specific and unique attention. So the budgets will obviously vary, and again, the approaches will also differ. So a detailed marketing budget is drawn out and approved by the marketing strategy and the marketing manager. Right. Last slide over here. So most radio stations work with strategies that operate in your 5 cycles, right? In 5 cycles, right? So they will develop more detailed implementation strategies on an annual basis. The marketing manager will then develop annual marketing strategies based on the radio stations, stakeholders, strategies, etc., the business plan, and the business strategy, the brand identity, all that type of stuff, right? I mentioned before. The stakeholders obviously have to approve anything and everything that does happen at a management level. That needs to be filtered down to the station and all of its subsidiaries, right? Or right, that's the right word. Strategy needs to show how audiences will benefit from listening to the station, and similarly how clients will then benefit. And so then is the end of that. Okay. So I'm going to do so we've got here, you can go and click on that in your own time, go have a look at that particular SWOT analysis and how it's conducted. you have conducted it before. I'm saying in other capacities for other subjects, right? And what I would like is to discuss SWOT analysis for BMH radio. Exhaustive, I know, right? We can do this in real time, right? So so I want to take let's give 3 minutes per sector of it. So let's do BMH. I know that you're going to say to me that you don't listen to BMH, but the thing is that you don't have to listen to BMH. You can you know somewhat of the brand. Jewel, again, because you are muted, yours will be passive. Notando, will you be able to perform just like an ad hoc SWOT analysis on BMH radio?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
I'm saying, like, let's say we want to do SWOT analysis on BMH radio. Would you be able to participate in that? I'm saying should we go through each one of them? So let's say it's
Yes, please
string. Okay.
go through each one
So,
of them.
all right. Let's first start off with the strengths of BMH radio. So for me, the first ones that stand out, and again, I'm gonna direct this to you, Notando, because once again, excuse the repetitiveness. Jewel is muted like indefinitely, right? Okay, so let's say the obvious strengths that I find with BMH is one, the fact that we have studios. I know that sounds obvious and so, but we have studios, like very high-end studios. We have the equipment for OBs. We have the resources. So I'm saying we have a staff that is like they are hired. They are also trained to a certain extent. Um, the strength that we might also have is we have the backing of the campus. I'm saying there must be a certain budget that the I'm saying the campus, so Boston, I'm saying in general, Boston Media House will give the station. So in terms of, even if it goes to the important stuff first, which is, for example, maintaining the studios and the equipment. Otherwise, we can't have a broadcast at all. We won't have a station at all, right? Never mind. We don't pay students at all. Again, because this is genuinely like a great way for them to like learn with a lot of mistakes, because we don't have a lot. We don't have a listenership, right? I'm going to say that at very small droves, we might have some kind of active listenership, but we're talking in the hundreds, maybe. Okay. Anyway, okay.
Okay.
So let's say we have the potential. So we have the potential of trained. I mean, the students are literally being trained by media professionals, all of us. I'm going to stop there. What other possible strengths could the station have for you?
Would I say maybe to have a podcast?
So strengths are, so they, yes, they have, I'm not going to put that under strength. I'm putting that under opportunity, right?
Okay.
So the opportunity to create a podcast it should be definite. You understand? It should be expected from us, our students, right? But with our opportunity, just as a sidebar, so that my train of thought is in line with that, like we can also expose a lot more students on campus
Yes.
to, let's say, the medium by having students form podcasts. I'm saying with groups of other students as well, so we can have a number of podcast series that, let's say our broadcasters are, let's say, they're bringing together little teams, you understand, or collabs, or it can be centered around student culture or student life, like where they can go and focus on a particular student in one episode and their life and their struggles or their whatever. You understand? We can expose so much more of student culture just by
Mm.
that. It's an opportunity, right? Okay, let's go back to a strength. So think of just give me one or two obvious strengths that the station has over and above the ones that I've already said. Even if you can give me one, even if it's wrong as well. So
Okay.
I'm not desperate for an
Oh,
answer. I just want you to try. Yeah.
okay. I think what the top of my head could be but I think you've mentioned it already. I think would
That's
be
okay.
the exposure for students to get to understand the equipment and what goes on in the media industry when it comes to radio. The opportunity,
So
the
yeah.
strength is would be, um, yeah,
So
for them
this
to be exposed,
yeah,
giving them the exposure to how radio works. Probably, maybe
right?
that's the strength because you
So
did
working,
say they
yeah,
have
working.
high equipment, good
Yes, they
enough
do. Yeah,
for outside broadcast as well.
yeah.
So I would say that is a good strength.
Like for example, I mean, we use Genesis. Genesis is used by commercial stations, right? So it's industry standard, right? So that we
Yeah.
have strengths there where the resources that are available are good resources, right? And it can strengthen the quality of the type of um, I would say staff member, like obviously BMH staff that we want to actually procreate, you understand? So
Hmm.
so that would be a good strength. Another strength is, for example, if we have strong personalities, we can so let's just assume we have strong personalities, right? Okay, we can capitalize on strong personalities to be brand ambassadors. Yeah, that turns into an opportunity,
Yes.
right? But a strength can be, we can say, strong personalities. Let's kind of leave it in simplicity because now I'm going across hybrids here. So
Yeah.
let me move a little bit towards to opportunities which seem a little bit more obvious, I think, right? Because there's so much that we could do because there's so, and again, I'm being objectively critical because there's so little that's currently being done. There's a lot of potential. Agree that we
Yes.
for
Yes.
potential for things. So we did mention, for example, kind of dominating, trying to be dominant within student podcasting specifically, right? So
Mm.
we want to compete against the other students, like the other student radio stations, right? Whether they are campus or community, doesn't really matter, right? Or campus community. But we want to also start making a little bit of a place for ourselves because online stations are a thing. I'm saying to you, we do recognize online stations in the industry. So there's no exclusion here. I'm saying for BMH, we have the opportunity to start somewhere. So maybe if our shows are not that great at the moment, one, obviously there's another opportunity there, right? There's an opportunity for development of, again, podcast, individual unique podcast series. And students are supposed to be progressive. They're supposed to be progressive, very progressive, and even more so because you are creatives, you're supposed to be even
Mm.
next level progressive, right? So the generic products are not expected, and not, I wouldn't say even they're accepted, right? Accepted and expected, right? Another opportunity from your side. So think bigger picture. Think about the ecosystem. When I say the ecosystem, think of the campus itself. What opportunities do we have?
I'm still thinking.
That's okay. You can think out loud. We don't have awkward blind date silences.
Um, I'm not sure if other, like I was just trying to Google now if I actually don't even know if it's found, Boston is found under frequencies when you're trying to find the radio
No,
stations.
you won't.
Because I can
No,
say UJFM right now, at least I know it's on 95.4.
but they are FM. We're online, so we're
Oh,
digital.
and
Yeah,
on Street Digital. Okay.
yeah, that's the
Could that
thing.
be another opportunity? because I
to,
mean,
let's
if
say, yeah, so let me shut up. Go on.
because if you said I think one of the factors that you said is that we're building because we've got strong personalities. We're building, um, what to say, a career or a
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah.
So would that not be an opportunity for Boston to create their own brand in terms of being on a
Mm.
frequency?
Yes. So we could go and we could apply for a license
Yes, with the
if we have
casa.
a, yeah, that's right. So if we have a good product, I mean, we got a good opportunity to develop something like a good prototype. Does that make sense? For
Yes.
ICASA to be like, okay, well, we're listening to and we see the product and we see how stable it is in many different aspects. Let's award you like a little FM frequency. Why not? I mean, they award frequencies, or there's available frequencies, definitely. So they could afford it, awarded, should I say, to us. There's opportunity in exploiting the lecturers, right? So
Yes.
so definitely, because again we are we have to be active in the industry, right? So we can, in all the aspects. So there should be a marketing team and a PR team and a programming team and a technical team or whatever it is. The lecturers can lend themselves. I'm saying, so the station, so BMH can pay for very little time from, I'm saying, from each lecturer that can then go and train and monitor those particular, I'm saying, those particular departments, so that we can start to empower more students at the campus. We're a small campus, so the probability of making a higher ratio, I'm saying, like a higher capacity of students, through just BMH radio, one product, through many different, let's say, we can also just, we can create departments with third years who need experiential learning, right? And we can start to cultivate them in second to third years, right? That could be one,
Yeah.
right? Okay, let's, do you have another one? Do there any other ones come to mind?
No.
No, okay. Oof, okay. So you'd have to go get some more. So help me out with a weakness.
I think we're not visible enough. I could say our marketing is lacking for on
Yeah,
my side. On my
definitely.
side. Yes.
Tell me from your experience with it. Why don't you know or haven't listened to the station? Why is that predominantly?
I think on my side, I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm not interested because I do like Grado.
But that's the truth.
Yes, but
How do, yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure why. I don't know.
It's because
I
you,
think it's
is it,
because it's
is
not in
it
my face.
because, let me not put ideas in your head. Is it because you don't know what they offer?
Yes, I don't know what they offer
Okay, so
exactly.
there's a weakness there. So the purpose of the station is not propagated enough. So we should have, even, man, even posters around the campus, just
Campus,
promotional
yeah,
posters, just promotional.
yeah.
That's all.
Even an SMS, to
Yeah,
just remind us.
true. That's an opportunity,
I mean,
right?
even on cold campus, I think most of the time all the students are all on cold campus, but on the announcements,
Yeah,
on the student wellness, there's nothing that says,
yeah.
radio, listen to our radio.
But also, we're interviewing this person. I'm saying at this time, and so tune in, for example, at 4:15
Yeah,
this afternoon, because
yeah,
we have whoever it is, a big, because we have I mean, I see enough, so because I follow students, I follow individual students, right? And I see some of them doing some great interviews and stuff, but in their own individual capacity is not enough. Like you say, we have a platform like Call Campus, right? That can just be like an announcement. The SMSs is a I mean, it's a staple for us. It's nothing. It costs us, quote unquote, nothing, because it's part of the budget or whatever. You understand? And it's part of
Exactly.
a student service, right? So, okay, give me another obvious weakness, right? I know you haven't heard the station, but the weakness is the caliber of talent on there. So, in other
Is it?
words, yes, yeah, we do want to be able to. So, with a lot of the DJs, they're not great. The presenters, I'm saying the news readers, whatever it is, they're not great. The co-hosts are not great because the thing is that you need to actually be they need to be trained properly and kept off.
Mm,
I'm saying the bigger shows. I'm saying the very busy shows, like you say, the lunchtime and brunch time shows when students are on campus, right?
mm,
Um, we should rather put our biggest talent there because if people by chance are listening to BMH, which could be also just played at the cafeteria, is it played in the cafeteria? No, I don't think so.
mm,
Right. It's played just outside the studio, through those speakers just outside, those monitors outside. But it's not played in the man outside. What did I had the name for it now. Anyway, the um that area, the outside area, and then also in the cafeteria itself, right? Just because a lot of student stations operated only for many, many years just broadcasting to the campus. Right. They got an FM frequency, whatever it is, but its feeder, like its footprint, was only restricted to the campus. Right.
mm.
That started for many years. And the thing is that all they needed was the students' loyalty. That's all. Right. So weaknesses are also in the programming. The programming is not catered like I say explicitly for students. It's random sometimes. It's very much driven by what the presenter wants is interested in, not what the listener might be interested in, right?
Okay.
Um, and so that's one of the many other weaknesses again. In weaknesses, we can see opportunities, right? In weaknesses, we can develop strengths. Do you understand? So
Yes.
so so saying more and more of what's wrong with the station is a good, it's a proactive thing as well. Let's look before we close up, and if there are any questions, post this, you can let me know. I'm saying here. But let's look at threats. What are the obvious threats to the station? One threat, a threat is closing it down,
Yes, I wanted to say that.
right? Because what? But what could possibly make us close the station down?
No listenership.
Absolutely no listenership. So, but okay, they're going to still say to you, yeah, but it's still then at the very least, it's still a platform for the students to execute their practicals in. For us in third year, you have to take over the station. All the third years will take over the lineup in, like I say, in July till about I think it's in October, right? I'm saying that's a good. I mean, that's a good thing. You have great operable studios with everything that you need. Even if no one's listening, your lecturer still needs to listen to those shows and you will get the experience, right? But the
Yes.
threat is, for example, like the campus, let's say the campus is going through difficult, saying budget times. So really strict and very tight budgets. And let's say one of the studios conk out. I'm saying, where are we going to now find the money for it? uh,
Mm,
to fix that. Because that is the reality of right now. I'm saying Boston is in that situation because it's post COVID, etc. Right? Okay. So what the station has is what it gets. And if we come into any other high probability risk, let's say it's even a low risk high probability, right? The station can actually can be off air for a long period of time, which once again then breeds inconsistency, which then breeds like no opportunity even for the students can't even go and do radio shows. You understand, right?
mm.
A threat is also load shedding. Okay.
Yep.
Because the thing is that load shedding can conk us out. Yes, our generator does come on, sure, but we miss a lot of the programming in our case. It takes a long time for the generator to actually kick in. But then
Okay.
also the station has to be rebooted. That's the thing. So so unlike other stations that when the general when load shedding goes on, there's not even a flick. I'm saying to you, there's not even like a moment that the station goes off air. It immediately goes. It's the type of, obviously, I don't know what the technical term is, but the transition to the generator is immediate. It's fluid, right? So with us, we have that, and it's tolerated as well, right? So the threat of obviously the threat to quality is right there because of load shedding, which is it's again, it's consistent, it's not going away. So we need to manage threats. That's the biggest thing. Risk management is about managing threats, weaknesses, risks in total, right? What's an obvious threat? Our competitors, the other student stations, agree?
Yes.
Right? They already are, they are foundated, they're solid, they've got the momentum, they've been around for many, many, many years, right? Okay. They are an obvious threat for all those and more reasons. Another obvious threat is the fact that, like, digital and data doesn't go well together. I'm saying the misconception, we have a proper conception, but also a misconception about how data is consumed. We are very
Yeah.
selective about how we. So, for example, you're coming on. It's been a 3 hour. I'm saying it's a 3 hour class. If you dedicate it to your studies, you'd stay here. Do you understand? And it's worth the data. Do you understand? But if you
Yes.
don't have a good product, you won't even risk 10 megabytes. You won't. You'd
Mhm.
you'd save it rather for WhatsApp. Like I'm saying to you, 10 or 20 or 30 megabytes. You're not going to go and waste it on a chance that particularly you might be let down. Right.
Yeah.
Threats of the misconceptions of the cost of streaming. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close. So I'm going to close. Did you was so Jewel? Did you learn something? Was that helpful? Did you learn something in terms of yes? Okay. Thank. Oh no, someone even applause. Oh, a little bit of a blush here. Thanks. I'm so glad for you. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, so Natanda, on your side, would you be able to tackle the marketing? So again, we'll come practically back to this. I'm saying so there will be us formulating a strategy in upcoming lessons, but let's please take this one step at a time. Why I do it like this, and it may seem a little bit disruptive, is I need this to sink in. Does that make sense? So that it will go sink in subconsciously. That's how learning works, right? You might go revise the stuff in your textbooks or in the slides or whatever it may be, right? Okay. And then when we come back to it, you're going to have this almost a little bit more comfortable. You'll be a little more comfortable to tackle, let's say, a bigger practical based on this. Okay. So that is, if there are any other questions, are there any questions just in general about class, about online, about the formative, anything? No, Jewel, you'll DM me that directly. Matanda, from your side.
I'm all good for now. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Then have a great day. We'll see you. I'll see you. It's just me. There's no one else here. I'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was a
Thanks.
great talk.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day. Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers. Bye, girls. Bye, ladies. Cheers. Recording, recording, Chan, and